Bundt's Culinary Delights. Today we're going to work on a recipe that it was a staple when I was a kid. So today we're going to learn how to make cake. Alright everyone, so as you can see here, I have a lovely boxed cake. Now you might be thinking, why would she be doing a video for a boxed cake? Boxed cakes are delicious, they're yummy, they're easy, they're super simple. All this one has is water, half a cup of oil, and 3 eggs. What I used to do as a kid is I used to just mix it on up, put it in a big glass dish, and then use it for all my family. Now when I was a kid, maybe about 12 or 13 years old, my cupcakes kind of looked like this. A little chintzy, cheap frosting, but it was amazing because like this is probably $1.25 and this is about $1.50. And so these two combined, that's super cheap, right, to make a cake. And so it was great as a family to be able to make something so simple. But as I've grown up, I've learned that there are ways that you can elevate recipes such as the simple box cake and make it to look something amazing like this. So today we are going to be elevating some box cake recipes and making it something look super fancy, and it's also going to be super delicious. So let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start on our first cake. This cake that I'm using is dark chocolate fudge. So I'm going to just open it up and I'm just putting it straight into my mixing bowl. The best thing about this recipe is you don't have to like mix anything separate. I'm just going to dump it all in here and then I'm just going to let it mix. Alright, then I have dark chocolate pudding, and you're going to use a 3.9 or as close as you can get it package of it. Alright, next I'm going to add my wet ingredients. So here I have half a cup of water, half a cup of vegetable oil, 4 large eggs, and a cup of sour cream. Now this recipe is the same regardless of whatever type of cake mix you're going to use. You want to make a banana cake or a pumpkin cake or a red velvet cake, any type of cake, you just use the same ingredients. The only difference would be the type of pudding you're going to use and also the cake mix. Alright, once I let it mix a little bit, I'm going to just stop it and make sure to scrape the sides of the bowl to make sure you get everything incorporated. And then give it another short mix. Alright, and then the last thing I'm going to do is I have a cup and a half of chocolate chips. I'm using dark chocolate chips since I have a dark chocolate cake. You can use semi-sweet if you like, and if you're doing just a regular chocolate cake. There you have it. There we go. You have your chocolate cake mix. Looks perfect. Alright, so I have our cupcake tins here. We are making cupcakes for this video, but if you don't want to make cupcakes and you'd rather just do a bundt cake or just like a sheet pan cake, you can totally do that as well. Today we're doing cupcakes, so I preheated my oven to 350. And my next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get our cupcake liners and I'm just going to stick them in each cupcake hole. Now I have an easy, simple way that you can fill each liner. I just use my ice cream scoop. Scoop about 1 scoop of it and just put it in there. All right, so I was able to fill 16 of these cups with what we had. So my next step is once my oven gets to temp, I'm going to put them in the oven, and you're gonna cook them for about 18 minutes. You will know that they're done when you stick a wooden toothpick or a skewer or any type of thing that you can poke into the cupcake and it comes out clean. That's when you know it's done. All right, so we're gonna work on our second type that we're making today. So here I have a French vanilla cake mix. So we're gonna do exactly like we did with our chocolate and just pour it in to our bowl. And this cake is a white chocolate raspberry cake that we're working on. All right, French vanilla in. Now I have my pudding, and this is a white chocolate pudding. All right, adding my wet ingredients. So I have the half a cup of oil again. Half a cup of water. 4 eggs. These are large eggs. And a cup of sour cream. And start mixing. Alright, so for this one, I'm just going to do a cup of white chocolate chips. Throw that in. One last step. This one is a little bit different because it has the fruit in it. It has raspberry in it. So this is all mixed up and ready to go. I have here just in a little bag. You can use a Ziploc bag or whatever you have. I have some raspberry jam in here. You can also, if you have like raspberry pie filling, you can use that too. But this works just as good. Okay, so I have my end snipped off, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna squeeze this in like little lines inside my mixture, and then I'm slowly gonna kind of spread it around, and I'll do a close-up shot so you can kind of see what I'm doing, because we kind of want to get some swirls in our mix. We don't want the whole mixture to taste like raspberry. And just kind of swirl it around in your mixture. Don't actually mix it. You can do a couple more. That's perfect. So we are going to do the same thing that we did with the chocolate ones and put them in the cupcake tins. Okay, so to tell that these are done, I'm just going to stick in this skewer. And it came out clean, so that tells me that they're done. All right, so here we have our perfect chocolate cupcakes. We don't have them frosted just yet, but I'm going to frost them and make them look super fancy so we can kind of elevate our cupcakes. So while these are cooling, I'm going to put the rest of my mixture for my raspberry white chocolate cupcakes in, and we'll get those done too, and then we can just frost them all at the same time. Okay, so we're ready for our raspberry ones now. I have our chocolates cooling. I'm just going to do the same thing, a scoopful into each of the cupcake cups. Sometimes you'll see when you get towards the bottom that you didn't get too much of the raspberry down at the bottom, so I like to keep my raspberry jam close by so I can just squirt a little bit more in and mix that up. I'm gonna just do the same thing. Put them in the oven at 350. The other ones took about 18 minutes, so I'm going to do the same with these ones. You can check them early though if you like, just in case you have a better oven than I do. Last but not least is our frosting. Now you can buy the frosting that comes in the little jar at the store, which is like $1, which is like super simple, or you can make your own. So I'm going to make some cream cheese frosting for the top of these cupcakes. So I'm doubling up on all the recipes, but I'm going to put the single recipe down in my description so it's easier to make, just in case you're doing a bundt cake instead of cupcakes. Cupcakes usually use a little bit more frosting. So here I have some cream cheese, and I've got it cubed up just so that it's easier to mix in my mixer. So I'm going to put all the cream cheese in. Okay, I'm putting all the cream cheese in my bowl. Okay. And then I have some butter, also cubed so it's easier to mix. So I'm going to mix the butter and the cream cheese together first just to get it all softened up, and then we'll mix our vanilla and our powdered sugar in. You're going to just stick it on medium and just let it fluff up. Okay, so once that fluffs up, you're going to put in your vanilla. And then I have powdered sugar. So I tend to use a little less powdered sugar than the normal recipes, just because I feel like powdered sugar is already super sweet, and I like my cream cheese frosting just not as sweet. So we're going to just put a little bit of the powdered sugar in at a time. Just turn it on low, because that powdered sugar will come up on you and like explode all over the place if you turn it on high. If you have a spatula, scrape those sides just so that way all of it gets incorporated. You'll have like a lot of stuff hanging on the sides. All right, and it's done. There you have it. Now I'm just gonna scrape the sides one last time just to make sure there's not any excess that was like hanging on. All right, so you're gonna wanna store this in your fridge just so it's chilled until you're ready to pipe your cupcakes. You can store it with just a plastic wrap over it, or you can use a piping bag and just get it over with. So that's how I'm gonna do it. Now, if you're gonna use a piping bag, the first thing you're gonna wanna do, because you're gonna be using a specialty tip, you're gonna wanna put a coupler in there so that way it's easy to attach any tip that you want on the end. So I'm just going to stick my coupler in there, push it down to the bottom of the bag, and this is where you'll cut and then put your tip on. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it in a cup. There is they do have specialty things that you can use, but I just feel like it's easier and I don't have to buy an extra thing and store in my closet. So I just use a large cup, and I just bend the plastic of the piping bag over it, and then kind of push it in so that way you can put your frosting in there, and it kind of just looks like this. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoop it in. Now each piping bag, usually they have a line on there. Well, these ones do at least. These are just like the Wilton brand. They'll have a line on there that tell me where to stop filling. You want to listen to that, because if you don't listen to it, then it's going to just start coming out the top when you're squeezing it. It's just going to be too much. So now I just like to shake it to get the cream cheese down as far as it can go. And then you're going to kind of want to push the stuff from the top down so that you have more room. And here's a perfect example of me not listening and filling it up all the way to the top. Then I just have these little rubber band thingies that come with my piping kit, and I just wrap it around the top. Now you can just store it in the fridge just like this until you're ready to go. You can see that because I've overfilled it, some is spilling out the top, so don't do that. All right, I'm just gonna store these in the fridge until I'm ready to frost. All right, so for the top of the cupcakes, we are gonna put a sugared raspberry on top just to decorate. And so I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that. In this bowl, I have half a cup of water and half a cup of sugar, and that's gonna make a simple sugar that we're gonna use. So I'm just gonna whisk that up until the sugar is all incorporated with the water. The simple sugar is also a good thing to make. If you're gonna do a Bundt cake, sometimes the outside is like way too crispy. So you can use this simple syrup and just brush it on the outside and it'll make your cake moist. Also, if you overcook your cupcakes, you can use the simple syrup on the top just to moisten it up too. Got that all mixed up. Okay, so our simple syrup is made, and I have our raspberries and I wash them. So this is really simple. All you're gonna do is just get a raspberry, dip it in your simple syrup, shake it off to get any excess liquid off, and then you're gonna roll it in some sugar. You can do it without this step. You can just stick the plain raspberry on top if you'd like. This just makes it look a little fancier. Now I'm just gonna put these raspberries in the fridge, just let them harden up a little bit, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so I have my piping bag, I have my tip that I'm using, and I'm just going to pipe it in there. Now you're gonna start on the outside and work your way in. So I have my 2 cupcakes. Now I'm just going to decorate the top of them. So on the chocolate one, I'm going to use some chocolate shavings. Sprinkle some chocolate shavings on it. Of course, because this is a dark chocolate cupcake, we got dark chocolate shavings. And then on our raspberry one, I'm just going to get one of our sugared raspberries, and I'm going to set it on top. There you have it. Box cake recipes in a fancy little package. All right, now for the taste test. So let's do the chocolate first. I'm gonna kind of mess it up a little bit. Take that paper off so it's looking nice and moist in the middle. I'm not gonna be able to eat that whole big piece, so I'm gonna cut it down a little bit even more. That is so good. It's so moist. It's super chocolatey. Those chocolate chips added a bunch. And that cream cheese frosting isn't too sweet, so it kind of complements the cake. It makes it less rich. So good. Alright, raspberry white chocolate. Let's see. Get a little bit of everything. It's also super moist. You get the taste of the raspberry from the swirls, but it's not overpowering. You also have that nice raspberry on the top, and it got kind of crispy with the sugar on it. It's perfect. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today where we made elevated box cake recipes. Now, I know it's just a simple box cake, but you don't have to tell anybody that you made a box cake because they look so good. Also, it's not as expensive as an actual cake. As you can see here, this cake that I baked earlier this year, that cake cost me about $45 just to make because there's so many ingredients and so many things that I didn't have in my pantry. So after baking that cake all day long, it was delicious and it was amazing, but these are just as good, and they took me way less time, way less money, and they're super amazing. So thank you for joining me on this video. Please like and subscribe. You can also check that notification bell to get any of my other future videos. And I will have the recipes down in the description. So thank you so much.